finally got out, but it was nuts.
All right, Craig, you got something?
Yeah, so it was just perusing Twitter a second ago, and you might remember Dave Aranda's viral comments from Media Day that came from our conversation with him and why they had been recruiting at a much higher rate, landing commits and getting big-time commits than they had in quite a while. And his response to me that went viral was, we're paying players. And that was something that got a lot of play and had like Lane Kiffin quote tweeting it and laughing at just just being brutally honest about where we are. And hey, and you've seen it pay off. They've had like 10 more guys commit since he's made those comments, including several 4-star players. Well, they're not backing away from that. They are very clearly leaning into that, as you can see. A couple of Baylor assistants there.
That's Keenan Hall and Matthew Pallage.
Yeah, Keenan Hall and Matt Pallage. Keenan Hall, a big part of the recruiting success. Matt Pallage as well. I saw this come across, and I had to double-take because I was like, is this real? And sure enough, there's a link to the NIL store where you can buy these shirts right now, and that goes to their NIL collective, or I guess, however it works, it gets back to paying players. And so there you go. There's Baylor leaning full on into the Dave Aranda quote, and that was just not something I expected to see, but hey, man, go out and buy those shirts if you're a Baylor fan, I guess.
Not to nitpick here. I don't want to be that guy, but he did say it on this show.
Yeah, we didn't get credit. We should get.
I think. Listen, I'm just. Yeah. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
365 Sports.
We are available for negotiations on this. We're available for negotiations.
Yeah, that was still that when Craig asked him the question about the recruiting heater, and that the way he responded was just as dry and as matter of fact.
I can go back to many times when we were partnered with their media partner, where we had to change commercials because we didn't have, right. I'm just saying, he said it on our show. Yeah. I want cash. That's what I want. I think we all need cash.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to what is this? Is this too much?
Nope. Lean in.
Yeah. Why? I mean, what are you scared of?
It's just a question.
Yeah.
It's just a question. Like, is this too much? I guarantee you there will be people that look at this and they're going to love it, and there's going to be some that are going to go be offended by this.
You always worry about the folks getting offended. You do though. Who cares? I get it. There's going to probably be some people that push back, but my first thought is this is fun and it's hilarious. It's not who's going to be upset by this? Who gives a crap?
And this is anti what they've been for a very long time.
This is when I was told by a coach when I was leaving that event a couple of days ago. It said we're not being bullied anymore. We're not going to allow people to bully. So they're going to have some swagger with this, and that's exactly what they're doing.
And look, this is through multiple sports and multiple things. I would say the biggest knock on Baylor in their public image when it comes to day-to-day things, and not anything that was catastrophic. I'm not getting into that, but they've got to stick up their ass about a lot of things, and they take themselves way too seriously, which is not. They're not the only ones who do that, but I do think it's something that they've always kind of had. They really take themselves far too seriously, and if you've got the coaching staff now not being bullied, not taking themselves too seriously, having a chuckle, that to me is funny. That's good. That shows that you're a fun place, and again, not a place that's so uptight.
Yeah, I think that Baylor for the longest time before making moves said, well, what about people pushing back, or what about people? Now, I think there's a middle ground. I think they went too far under Art Browse in the other direction, where they almost intentionally were looking to piss people off, it felt like at times, and had no problems about the manner in which they might do that. And I do think there is some level of you have to portray yourself you can't just be no rules. I'm just going to not have anything holding me back. And I do feel like they almost lean too much into the we don't care what you have to say and nothing matters that is said from the outside. And then I think they overcorrected to the point because they kind of had to, given the situation, where then everything suddenly became, but what is everybody else going to think? And that's probably more towards Baylor's just Southern Baptist original nature to begin with. That's just kind of cooked into the recipe anyways, of being worried about what the person in church says about you or whatever. I personally don't give a damn. So to me, this is the perfect amount of petty and the perfect amount of we're going to double down and the perfect amount of we're not only having success, we're going to flaunt it a little bit. And guess where the money's going? It's going to go pay players, just like we said. So it's all full circle anyways. And, I think this is, according to the website, a limited edition collection, the We Pay Players limited collection, of which a portion of all sales directly support GXG, benefiting the athletes. And, it's leaning right into it. So I see nothing wrong with it. I think in this era, things like this are full green light. And I kind of like that they're winking and nodding and kind of smirking at you with it as well, because that's typically not been their style. It's been more of, well, we can't put these out and maybe make a few $1,000s to pay a running back in the future. It'd be, well, what is Twitter going to say? It'd be that kind of reaction. Or there was a regime at one point in time that would be like, we're paying players, and on the back it would say F you on it, and that went too far. And I think this is the happy middle ground to wink, nod, have a laugh, and also benefit from it potentially.
Sam Kahn, David Kay, of course, who's running the GXG within the university, along with what John Passavan and Jeremy Fudge do. Brett McMurphy, front office sports, all this is attention. This is getting a lot of play on the social media, at least on my Twitter timeline, from those who I either follow or I just happen to be watching what they're saying. So, and I'm telling you, when that coach walked up to me as I was walking out the door, he goes, and it was in reference to another school having somebody kind of say, well, I hope the checks cash or whatever, and they say, we're not being bullied. This is me. This is what we're going to do. And it's kind of nice that they've kind of come out of hibernation, and they still have to win because they were 3-9 last year. So that'll look silly if you do that and then you don't win.
Yeah, and if you don't hold on to that recruiting class, and that was a Texas Tech thing. That was their director of player personnel or whatever made a comment about the checks not clearing or cashing or however it was that he phrased it. Did he delete that? I think maybe he did. I don't know. I didn't go back and follow up on it. But there was a little snipe, and then Keenan Hall responded back to that, and it wasn't like direct comebacks, but if you were following along on both sides, you knew exactly what was happening. And so, I guess at least one person on the Tech side of things rubbed the wrong way by it, because when did that comment come? It came after they flipped the Texas Tech commit and linebacker Caleb Burns.
And then they also got the offensive lineman from Vanderbilt at the flip there. Yeah, but that's right. It was.
But they flipped the Tech commit. Tech took issue with it to some extent, which I understand that as well. And so it's created a little more of a lightning-charged atmosphere, I think, in recruiting that otherwise we're not talking about if they're not having the success they are. And people aren't sniping if they're not having the success that they are. So, I think all that's a good sign. But ultimately, what's fun in August doesn't really matter compared to what's fun in like December and January. So this recruiting class is great. The we're paying players thing's really fun. But if you don't go win games this year, it's not going to be nearly as cool as it could be when you go sign the actual class that this all stemmed from, and you actually have the wins to maintain your head coach in his position and this staff to go and continue to keep on doing these things. So hopefully this is more of a long-term escalation and not so much a flash in the pan and fun quote from Media Day that gets forgotten because they go 3-9 again.
Absolutely.